Okay, hey. My name is Seth Clendenning. I am a teacher over at Horace Mann Middle School, and today I am going to give you a little screencast here on using Google Classroom. This is an introduction, and I'll cover the learning management system itself, as well as its features, and I'll try to make it as concise as possible. So as you can see from the picture, it seems like Google is getting their hands into everything these days, including the classroom, which is the training today. Perhaps the school bus, as indicated by the picture, and maybe there'll be Google teachers. Oh wait, maybe that's me. So as I like to remind people of my attitude towards technology, that our future classroom is not about the technology itself, it's still about the students and the kids. And so here's my daughter, born just this last summer, and wearing our patriotic Horace Mann Middle School shirt given to us by our principals. So it's about the kids. So you can give me an amen for that one. Today's training will cover the features of Classroom. By the end of today, for a takeaway, you should have a course created. So you should be all set up to have this being used in your classroom already. And the student view, I'll actually probably cover another time because I'm afraid this will go too long. However, we will do an assignment called Google Classroom Review, and that's your artifact or evidence that you've completed this course. And as you view this presentation, if there's a bullet, that means a factoid. If there's an arrow, that means click on something. If there's a plus sign, means an advantage. Or if there's a minus sign, means it's a disadvantage. So, and another thing is just keep in mind that Google Classroom has only been out for a couple of months. Therefore, this is a work in progress. So one of the most powerful buttons that I can show you is just the send or leave feedback button. And that will allow you to tell Google what they should do better with this new learning management system. Okay? All right, here we go. First, I'm going to play this video. So I'm doing a YouTube of a YouTube. Okay. Let's not play that again. Okay, so what you should have gotten from that video is that there are some distinguishing features of Classroom, and one of them is that it's very easy, and what they were doing is pretty much in real time. It almost is as easy as it looks, at least from my experience, from creating a course to adding students to creating assignments to turning assignments in, tracking who's done, and reviewing or grading those assignments. It really is quite intuitive and visually friendly. The only thing with Google is I do tend to use more icons than text, so you kind of have to sometimes hover over the icons. Another great feature is it automatically creates folders for both teacher and students, so they could actually work on that assignment at home while not being on the internet. So if you had them to write about what they did that summer, right, it's saved in their drive, even as it's created in Classroom. So they don't have to go on the Classroom at that moment to see that assignment. They go into their Google Drive folder if you created one for them. So it works out really well. One of my favorite features, which they sort of showed, was there's the ability to add automatic copies for each student. So like you hand out a worksheet to each of your kids in your class, and it creates a blank worksheet with their name as a part of the file title, and they each have it in their drive. So yeah, it's really well. I'll show you. So before we get started, there are some common mistakes that as you're setting this up, make sure you do not commit. First one is, I would say is the biggest one by far, is don't join as a student before you join as a teacher. What happens is it'll default you as a student if you start as a student, and you won't be able to join as a teacher unless you get Google to change that for you. So anyway, that being said, again, you want to join as a teacher first, then you could join as a student. I haven't seen that show any problems. Number 2 and 5 are similar, but it's the same idea. Don't mess with Classroom folders in Drive. So I wouldn't put things in what will happen is in your Google Drive account, as you create a Classroom folder, you'll see a Classroom folder in Drive. And as you create classes, it'll create a Social Studies Section 1 folder, Social Studies Section 2 folder, etc. And what you don't want to do is put things in there or rename those folders or take things out. You just kind of want to let it be, okay? 3, I would use simple names for courses, Geography 8 or whatever it may be. Number 4, have a separate course for each period in your day. In the beginning of the year, I did have one bigger class of like 50. And that was somewhat of a nightmare. I ended up having to delete kids out of there and redo the assignments, and so I've learned that from, well, the hard way. Okay, first thing we're going to do is this is supposed to be, even though it's a screencast, supposed to be a hands-on training. So if this were face-to-face, you'd be doing these same things. So what you're going to do is we're going to do create your own course right away. So you're going to go to classroom.google.com, and you're going to start a new tab. You go to classroom.google.com, okay, and hit enter. Well, not physically hit it, but you know. All right, so you can see I already have an account set up. This is not exactly what your screen is going to look like. So really this training is a little bit better. What you're going to do is click on teacher at the bottom right. And don't click on students. Or if you're on like a Windows or a desktop, you might say role in gray, kind of bottom left, and then you click on that and then choose teacher. Again, choose teacher. Okay? If at any point I'm going too fast, just make sure you try to pause this video and then wait for the next step. Okay, the next step is to click on the plus sign on the top right near your name. Now I can actually do that on my screen. So once you are logged in as teacher, which should just log you in automatically, you won't see any of these courses or any classes, period. So what you're doing is you're adding something. That's what this plus sign is for. Okay, so click it once, and at this point what you do is create class. So click the plus sign top right, click on create class. All right. You can name it whatever you want. You can see mine in the background, and a couple of them are just made up for now. So I'm going to call it Social Sciences, and we'll call it Period 2. All right. So then you hit Create, Give it a second or two. Takes you to that class. The next thing you will be doing is up here in this pretty area, you're going to change the theme. And I suggest changing the theme, one, for aesthetics, and the secondly just being you want to have different themes for each one, in other words background, because then you won't be confused, it's more visual. So I'll choose one that I haven't used yet. And I haven't used the bricks. It's kind of nice. Okay, and it's still kind of manly. All right, so social sciences period 2, I have a class set up, right? Well, I don't have any kids in there, but the classroom is set up. Now what you're going to do is create a class for each of your other sections. So to do that, the top left, there are 3 bars, and that is your menu. Okay, you can hide that by just clicking off of it. So I'm going to hit that 3 bars in the top left. Now I'm going to hit home, and it takes me to all my courses. To add another one, it's the same steps again. Add button or plus sign, create class, social sciences, or whatever you're going to call your class, period 3. All right. And then let that update. Change your theme. I could leave it at this one if I wanted. Again, that's in the mid right there. I'll do the spider. Okay. So that's the gist of how to create classes. So that's how easy that was. All right, next step we're going to do is, so you should have, go ahead and take a couple minutes to, if I'm going too fast, to pause the video and to make sure you have a class created for each period or section that you have. Next thing I'm going to do is add students to your class. Couple ways of doing this. There's a Students tab to invite or view all current students. When I first did this, I used email groups, and it did work the first time. The second time I did it, it didn't work. So I'm just going to say, generally, it doesn't work. The easiest one to do is put a code on the board, or and then the students will input that code, and then it'll automatically enroll them in your class. Okay, I'll show you how to do both, just so you know. In case you want to just do one for them, you could. Okay, so pull up one of your classes and get to this main screen. So if you're in the home view, you just click on one of those courses. For example, let's go with Social Sciences 1. Okay? All right. Actually, I have some things in there, so I'm going to do Social Sciences, period 3. Okay, one we were just at. Okay, there are 3 different columns here that are very useful. The stream, first of all, is any assignments you're going to create or announcements or anything that you're broadcasting to the class will show up in the stream. Okay, so that's kind of like your main line. Students is if you have any, if you want to contact your students or add them, then that's where you go to. The about is information about your course. So what I could do is say social sciences, class description, we will study psychology, political science, sociology, right? Yada, yada, yada. Room 222. Now this add materials button might be really useful for you. Let's say you want to add a course syllabus. I don't actually have one, but it's one of those things I always wanted to write. And once I'm teaching one class every year, I probably will. So course syllabus, and then what you can do is these icons are to add different types of files, whether it be a file from your computer, a Google Drive item, a YouTube video, or a link. And that'd be the same options for when we do the assignment. When we add an assignment. So you might say course syllabus, and then you're going to upload your syllabus from your computer or attach it from your Google Drive. Okay? Similarly, if you had, maybe this was your teacher, and then you had a link to your Google site, or you have some videos. So for example, I have some self-introduction videos. If I just search Mr. Clendenning, I will come up with a couple videos that I made a few years ago that are kind of cheesy and lame. But I could post those just for kids to see. In fact, why not? Okay? So then I see that, and then I can post it. Now, the thing about the about is it's always there. Oh, and I didn't say that before, so I just need to do social sciences, political science, etc. 222, and save. Okay, so that's going to always show in the about. So if you want to say, go to your syllabus, blah, 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 then you keep it in the about. Anything that you want to be out there all the time, and then one spot, that's the about section. Okay? So stream is contact the students. Now, as I was getting to how do you add students, well, there's a couple of different ways. The long way, or the more, will probably take you more time, is to invite students. And you can select the groups here. So I have like social studies period 8, and I could just select all, and then that invite would go out. But the last time I did this, it didn't work. So it may or may not work for you. It's worth a shot. Otherwise, you can just do them individually. So start typing in a name. So if I want to say our old associate principal and I want to add him, and I would just say invite students. I'm not going to. But really, I suggest using this other method, which you'll see right here under students, is invite students or give them this code so they can join. CLBCCC. Okay? You can also see this code on the main screen. So under the stream, it says class code on the left, CLBCCC. Once you have students enrolled, you can disable it, or if you want to change it, you can. But I haven't had any issues with like strangers trying to join, so I wouldn't be too worried about it. And you can always delete them just however you want, whenever you want. Okay, so I wouldn't be worried about leaving that active. Okay, so how do students join your classroom? First of all, you have to know this code, which is right here. And they're going to do the same process as you join classroom. So if they want to join a class, they're going to go to classroom. They're going to go to classroom.google.com. And once they do, it'll see like you saw before. Well, let's say like get started with classroom, and then they're going to choose the student role down here instead of the teacher role. Okay. Then it'll look something like this, but it will be no courses showing up. Then what you do is they would hit this plus sign, and then they're going to join class, and that's where they type in that code, CLBCCC, I thought it was. Okay? It's not going to let me join my own class, but that's what you do. Okay? Then that course would show up in this screen, and you would see a little icon with they would see your picture. The teacher's picture would look exactly like this, except they would have a picture of the teacher right above you. Okay? And then they're enrolled in that course. And then you will also see that they are, let me go to another course where I actually have kids, or I should say students. So these are the students in this Google Classroom training playground. Okay? All right. Next, so you put the code on the board, they're enrolled. Now, anytime they do anything in the classroom, they don't have to worry about signing in. It's synced to their Google account, so they just had to put in that code once, and they're done. I highly suggest having your students bookmark it. So again, to have students bookmark it, you would do that, right? The star in the URL. So definitely have them bookmark your class, or at least this main page, so they can get to all their other classes. Alrighty, let's go on. The next step is to create an assignment. So this is where you'll really start to like it. Coffee. All right. First thing we need to do is create a template in Drive as a document or a sheet. Both of those currently work for a template. So maybe a GSA question or what I did this summer. Just keep in mind that whatever you do, it's going to use the original. So at the time that you submit it, it's going to use that version. If you change it later, it's not going to update it. Okay, so at the time that you post that assignment, that's the one it's going to use. Okay, all right, let's do this live time, and if you need the steps here or some info about it, it's there still. Okay, create assignment. I'm going to go to the main screen, so this main stream. Okay, so if you're on the students right now, go to the stream. All right. Next thing you'll do is you'll see a couple of things here. One is announcement, which I don't use at all. But if you want to do an announcement and say, go to this link, you certainly could. Or if you just want to have them watch a video, you could. Or if you just want to say, this is what we're doing today, that's fine. Otherwise, I don't use that. The only one I currently use is the assignment. For assignment, I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself. What you need to do is create a template. I apologize. You need to create a template. So you're going to go to your Google Drive. If you don't know how to go to your Google Drive, you can go to your Mail, click on the Apps button, and then go to Drive. Okay. Then you're going to do is figure out where you want to keep these things. Again, here's my classroom folder. You do not want to put anything in here, okay? What you do want to have is some other place. So wherever your lesson plans were, have a separate spot. So I have an Intro to Social Studies folder, okay? So that's where I'm going to keep things. So once you've opened that folder, then you can do New, and then I would do, you can do one of these. Oh, Slides would work too, I think. But I would do Google Docs. It's the most common one. All right, so I opened up a blank, and let's have it, I'm just going to use the same stuff I used before, okay? Okay, I have a blank document, and I decide I'm going to have them tell me about their hobbies, families, and friends. Okay, so I made a little chart, and tell me 2 things about your hobbies, family, and friends. I made that. I'm going to do File, Rename, Self, we'll just say Introduction Chart. Hit OK. Now you have a file, which you're going to use as we're just going to call it a template, okay? Once you have some kind of assignment that you have prepared, whether it's math problems or questions for reading, then, or whatever you're going to do, then you can go to your classroom, title it, Self Introduction, tell me using the chart about your hobbies, family, and friends. At least 2 facts for each column. Okay? Change the due date to possibly Monday. If you want to change the time, you could. I'll just leave it at, before midnight. Here is a really critical step. Again, here is a really critical step. Again, here is a really critical step. Whatever classes you want this to apply to, so let's say you want all of your classes to do it, then you would select all of them. If you only want a couple of them, then only select the ones you want. If you don't do this in the beginning, you have to create it individually for each one. You can't go back and add it to the other classes without actually creating it all over again. So it's really important that when you add an assignment that you're really sure of all the tasks that you want them to complete. So in this case, I'm just going to have it as the training for the Google Classroom. Okay, and I guess I could do it for that one too, just to show you. All right. Okay, I got the time, I got the due date. Now, one thing I'm really missing is the most important part, which is that template I created. So you attach a Google Drive file. Where did I save it? I saved it in the Intro to Social Studies folder. And what did I call it? I called it the Self-Introduction Chart. Okay? I'm going to add. You added it. Now, this is the one that I most commonly use. There's 3 different options as you click here. Students can view file. That might be for something you just want them to read. So an article, so on and so forth. Edit file is for all your students to edit the same thing at the same time. So maybe a discussion, or maybe they're writing a song together, or if you have a smaller class, etc. But just keep in mind they can all edit it. Okay. The last one is the one I use most often. That's make a copy for each student. So that will put into their Google Drive and on their classroom account a copy of that chart, which will have their name on it. Okay? Okay, I'm really sure about the due date. I'm really sure about all this. I made sure I selected the right classes, and I did a copy for each student. Again, that's probably the one you're going to choose. If you want to add in a YouTube video, so again, if I wanted to put in those Mr. Clendenning videos so the kids would get to know a little bit more about myself, you could search for it here. You don't even have to. You can add, right? Or for the YouTube video, if you want to, find it on YouTube and then post the URL, copy and paste, that would work as well. Okay? But yeah, it's nice to just kind of search for things. So if you're doing it on U.S. history or World War II, then you can easily find things. Okay? Maybe crash course, World War history. All right? You could add that in there. Okay. So you added your videos. If you had a link, this is the link you might use for any assessments or form. And then again, this paperclip is attach a file, which is on your computer. Otherwise, these two are probably the most common, at least for me anyway. When you're really sure and you got everything on it, then you hit assign. Give it a couple seconds. All right. And then you can see from here, students are done or not done. So I'll go back to the training, make sure I'm going in the order I want to here. Oh, after you create an assignment, what I'm looking for from you, for one thing, is I need your help assembling some outstanding assignments that could be used in Google Classroom. So I already have some social studies as I'm working on those, but I'll certainly take them. So I'm looking for some math or FCE or ELA or science or PE or music. And so I would like to have some sample assignments so that teachers could view this and kind of demo what it'd be like to be a PE student and using Google Classroom and see if that would be useful or not. Maybe for tracking their progress or recording times, that might be nice. Or for music, for them writing a song together, as I said before, perhaps. This might be useful for them. Okay. So if you have a chance, then please share an assignment with me, and I appreciate it. Next thing is managing assignments. So we're going to talk about that. How about how a student turns it in, and when they turn in, they can no longer edit. All right, let's go to the management part and the grading part. Okay, too many tabs, right? Okay, so to manage an assignment, let me go to one that has been done already. Okay, and this is actually the assignment that I would like you to do for this class. So, all right. So here's that assignment itself. When you click on the assignment title, you'll see status, and details at the top. Details is what you saw before. Gives everything you need. You can pull up that document if you want to help them take notes. You can watch that video on Classroom or the training that I'm using in the midst of this training. So assignment status side is to see how the students are doing on that assignment itself. And I've actually graded these already, but I will do that again, okay? So what I'm going to do is just, Dawn, Leslie already did this assignment. What I can do is I can pull it up. I'll show you that again. All I do is click on their name, and then it shows it. So when I click on Alice, or Dawn, okay, or Jeff, it's going to show that assignment underneath. And then I can just click on that assignment. So let me pull up Alice's. So this is what Alice did. Advantage, it's paperless. Students can't lose it. You don't waste as much time making paper copies. Paperless, teach your papers to look around, etc. So disadvantages are these, right? So I might say for suggesting really good thoughts on the use of Classroom. Alright. And then when I'm done making my comments, it automatically saves. I can close it or whatever. And again, I just go back to here. That was for Alice, and I want to, before I gave her 100, and I think I'll give her a 95. I decided to change her grade. Okay. So anyway, Alice did a nice job on her assignments, and that's how you grade it. You click on this grade area, and then you change the score. And to pull it up, you click on the document itself, and then you can use the suggesting ability. Again, that's this, suggesting versus viewing. And if you want to make an overall comments, like so, glad you came to the training yesterday, made it fun and useful, and then glad I had my big questions answered. Definitely heading in the new classroom direction. I might just put to here. Oh. All right. And I got in the grade book. Now, Classroom right now at this point does not have its own grade book, so it's saved on here, and then I would have to actually go to Infinite Campus to input those scores, unfortunately. Okay. All right. What else for the management of kiddos did I not cover? Done, which is not done. Okay, I'll show you that again. So I'll go to one of my actual classes at this point. Might be a little bit more useful to see. All right, so here for this warm-up that was due last Friday, I've got 14 done and 2 not done. So what this is nice is I can see, okay, I know I'm going to grade these 14, right? So then I pull them up, and actually I can start doing this. And they're all a little late, but it's not a big deal to me. So I'm going to grade Alex Zhang's warm-ups. I pulled that up. I look through, yeah, he did everything I asked. If you want to make comments, you certainly could. It's up to you how much time you want to spend grading, or in this case, I'm just looking for completion. So I don't really need to comment on it. Then I would just give him. First of all, I'm going to change the point value to a weird number, which is 16. So I just clicked in there, and then I added that box, and the grade I'm going to give him is 16. He did a really nice job. Okay. You need to look at CJ's. Pull that up. 2, 3. So it's 3-4 seconds for it to load. It's not too bad. CJ didn't do the Thursday. He only did a little Friday. He missed Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. All right, so he kind of did it, right? So I'm going to give him, I'm going to give him a 12. Okay. You kind of getting the idea. Click on his name. G probably has even less done than that. Oh, I'm wrong. Just missing Monday. Okay, so you can see how long it might take you to grade things, which is really not very long. And I put in a grade of, I'd say he was probably a 14. Okay. When you're done, so you do go through all these and decide what you want to give them for a grade. If it's just a completion grade, and you're like, well, they did it, I'll just trust they did. You could just put the grade in. You don't have to actually open up their work. Again, to open up the work, you click on their name and then it shows. Otherwise, you notice how after I did something, I graded it. It's going to put in a score for each of these. Okay, so I'm going to just kind of showing you how it automatically checks it on the left side. So when you're done, you just decide you want to return those assignments to them. Good job. Okay. Okay, so those are the returns, and it keeps track of who you have graded or not. Okay, so it's pretty nice. That shouldn't be a problem. Okay, I'm going to go back to that assignment. And how about the kids that are not done? Well, let's say I want to say to Nia, well, let's see if Nia has done it yet. He actually has. And that's kind of what I guess of him, is he just didn't turn it in, which isn't a big deal to me personally. So what I'm going to say is he did a great job, and I am going to give him a full score for it. Okay? And let me look at Shaylin's, and she might be the same situation. Okay, didn't do the news one day. Maybe she was gone that day. Didn't do the news the second day. Alright. So I'm missing a couple points. Shaylin, 12. Alright. So those are my two that were not done. Or at least I should say they didn't turn it in. That's not a big deal. I can still grade it and return it. And when I do, it'll actually, remember to turn the assignment in next time. It'll actually change it to done. Okay, so before it was 14 and 2, and now it's 16 and 0. Okay, because I did open it up, I confirmed that they were done, so I basically turned it in for them and graded it for them. Okay, so that was a good way that they did that. I think you're getting the idea of grading. I'll go over that process really quickly. You click on the assignment itself. Then it goes, the assignment status is for the kids' work, and details is for what you did to introduce that lesson or assignment. Click on the name, click open up, hit the grade, input the score. Okay? And then you hit return after you're done. So that's really all there is to grading. Unfortunately, it doesn't keep charts of an overall grade or scores, but I'm sure that'll come at some point. All right, next. I think I've shown you all those things. So grading assignments is pretty easy. Nothing's lost. They can't even really delete it if they try, because you'll still have access to it. So that's about all I'm going to cover today. Let me see if there's something else. So one thing that before I do this the student training is it's missing is there's no guest access for parents. You can only have one teacher on a course. You can't really make an assignment for a group. Um, in the student view, it's only by first name. You see Alex, CJ, G, Jacqueline, and it doesn't go by last name, unfortunately. Um, when you edit assignments, it doesn't affect multiple classes. And then some things we've been coming up with is public assignments will sync to students' calendar, and we're hoping to be able to sort the classes manually. So if you have more than one class in your view, what's my back? I can't. These are not in alphabetical order or anything. So I thought, why can't I move this over here? Well, I can't. So unfortunately, you just have to see which one's which by looking at the period number, and won't sort in any way at this point. Okay. If you would like to complete this training, what you're going to do is join a class. So go to your 3 bars, then home. And then you click this plus sign, and you're going to go to join a class. And the class you're going to join is Google Classroom Training. You're going to put in this code, RXDPPQV. Okay, I'll just kind of make that a little bigger. So again, you go to the 3 bars at the top left, go to home, then to the top right, there's a little plus sign, and then you hit join a class, and then you use this RXDPPQV. All right. All right. Then what you'll do is you'll be directed to this page, and you'll see the stuff that I just made. There's a sample social studies assignment in there. There's that self-introduction. Then what you do is go down to this Google Classroom review. And you can click on that title. It should show like this, and then you would click on, first of all, there's a presentation that I used today. There's that classroom introduction video, but then you're going to open this presentation worksheet, and it should automatically have your name on it. It won't show on mine, but on yours it'll say presentation worksheet, and then it'll say your name. Okay, once you've enrolled. So you fill in some advantages and disadvantages, and this is the takeaway artifact as evidence that you completed this course, whether it be using the screencast or seeing me face to face. How do you do that? When you're done, you should, or as a student, you'll have a button right here that says turn in. So fill it out, then hit the turn in button, and you'll be set to go. All right. The rest I will leave for the student training. So feel free to contact me with any questions you might have. Thanks for watching.